What's going on, dude?
Man, you look slick. I feel like I should go get dressed or something.
Well,
Actually,
sweaty and hot here.
hey man,
Oh wow, there you go.
that's right.
That's Paul London. That is Paul London right there.
You guys come into this saloon often?
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh,
best not be.
I didn't even know so fast. Usually, I'm in the waiting room, and then you told me to text.
Oh yeah, I actually saw it pop up this time.
All right. So we've been live for
Oh
36.
yeah, I just hit record now. Me and him been chatting horror movies.
Oh, really? What's going on? Let me find my center here. Wait, I see. We always the
You're
guy.
always on the right side, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Paul. He always puts me by this logo here, where my face is covered up by.
I'm sorry. I can leave and come back.
Hey, we're gonna.
I hate the middle seat. That's not my favorite.
We might add Paul to the podcast. I'm never around, so we're going to add some different characters to the podcast and have broaden it out, where it's not just going to be Dave and Creech. It's going to be Dave and Creech and Steven and Larry or whoever. Maybe Paul.
Why not? Why not? Bring them all in, man.
What have you been?
Just
We haven't seen each other in a long time.
Yeah, I've been burying some bodies. I think I'm actually pretty exciting. I'm working towards a film in July that we'll be doing in Portland called Geek the Movie, which is like a throwback to not so much Mac and Me, but not so much E.T., but nice sizzle of Goonies thrown in there. But there's hints of all these things, and we recently got Vernon Wells on board as our big heavy, and so
Wait, what's
we're
Vernon?
getting there. Vernon Wells was the big bad guy in Commando with the chainmail, the sexy chainmail.
I know Vernon very well. I know Vernon. What's he?
Terrific.
I thought he was going to be a little boy, though. Is he playing a little kid?
I hope so. He might be the little alien metal cheeseburger. Not sure.
Creech, the one thing I didn't know Vernon did was at this convention, he does the Road Warrior character, right? And
Yeah.
He has the outfit, and then he has a thing for his hair to do the mohawk, and then he pencils in those eyebrows and does the little goatee thing that he had right here and stuff like that, and then the sort of Nikki Sixx Indian warrior paint. And what is he, like 76 years old or something?
Yeah.
With all that stuff on, he does look like the character. It's pretty crazy that I was like, wow, because somebody sent me a photo and I go, oh, when did you meet him? Like, was that 89? And they're like, no, that was last weekend. And I go, what the hell is he? Pretty crazy. He probably has them posted on his Instagram, but he is one of the nicest guys. He could be more opposite than me. A lot of people say that I'm one of the worst guys in the world, but great to work with. But it's even better when you're done working with me. People really realize how much they love to not work with me. They hire me. So we're gonna check out my call when I'm on the geek. What the heck's it called?
Movie.
Geek
the movie.
The Geek the movie or Geek the movie.
Geek the movie.
Geek the movie. There you go.
You can go to geekthemovie.com and kind of get an idea of our progress. And it should be fun, man. It's fun, something hopefully I can show people and not want to die.
Tell me what you're doing on this Geek the movie. What is it?
I'm playing the father of the young boys. There's some bullying issues here, but play a station engineer who's a single father, and it'll be kind of, I think, my first father role. Although I do father 2 guinea pigs, and that's a hustle. But yeah, it's young boy finds a little spaceshipy friend, and he's getting bullied at school, and there's like some elements of Explorers in this. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot. I think there's like a lot of hey, that kind of reminds me a little bit of this and that, but without it, hopefully. Not being a complete retread. The script, our director Benjamin Cooper, he wrote the script as well, but it's got a few awards under its belt already. So it's good to read something that you actually are excited about. I mean, you read stuff and you're getting excited just at the thought as you're kind of well, having read it through a few gazillion times, but there are certain things that you get excited about, prematurely.
Did you say Benjamin Cooper?
Yes. Do you know Benji?
I don't, but I know he won an award for that script. It was the best script about an alien and a kid written by Benjamin Cooper. It was a very Unfortunately, I didn't put written by Benjamin Cooper on my script, and he won that award. So I love that the accolades are coming in for him, which is amazing. So I look forward to it. So you're going to shoot that at the end of July.
Yes, in August in Portland, actually, beginning of August in Portland. Recently, between now and then, I'm watching out for crime lords. I'm starting a wrestling program, actually, a training facility in Orange County, and I'm going to see how that goes. But it's time to kind of turn the wrestling business back around.
Yeah. Did Creech spoke to him about your wrestling aficionado expertise?
Yeah. We talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I think you could be somebody we could get in the ring. I still think you would be a solid hand.
Are you talking to Dave or
both of you? But definitely Dave's got this, the gift of gab. The gift of gab, man. Raining dollars.
Wait, I don't know what do you mean a hand? So what are the terminologies?
You would be like it's very similar to like in acting, like this is somebody that you can rely on with pretty much any position, any role, and they'll knock it out.
Okay, got it. I know there's a skill. What are the characters, the different positions is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it depends. I think now there's so many, there's obviously the in-ring talent, which, hey, if you want to do that, the guys are smaller than you now. They're not so much the big behemoths of yesteryear, but, managers tend to be these talking pieces. Like Paul Heyman's probably one of the better managers on TV right now, just because he really believes what he's saying and does a great job of selling his make-believe fighter.
Got it. I understand. So, hey, Creech, were you able to Google that Guinness Book thing? Were you able to?
I was not.
Meaning you weren't able to find it, or you didn't even bother?
No, I didn't actually get a chance to search it up.
Right. Thank you. So
You're welcome.
I
failed you.
London, and I wanted to talk to him about how I'm in the Guinness Book of World Wrestling, or I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records for a wrestling.
Yeah.
I am. I have broken the record with 150 other wrestlers that we were in the largest Royal Rumble, and we all had to sign this Guinness Book of World's wrestling thing. Now, I don't want to say World's Wrestling, but it's World's Record. Yeah. So I'm in there, but I've never actually looked it up. I don't think they ever printed a book. There's no Guinness book anymore. I think you could buy like a shortened version. Got to be a database, and then I can probably apply to purchase a certificate because they'll sell you it because they want to make money. So
yeah, I would want that on my wall. Are you kidding? I mean, you should definitely see if that's valid. How did that come about? Like, give us a little background.
Yeah, I have your email, and just first of all, I don't know if Creech knows this. You and I met. Really, the first time we met was at the Joe Bob's Haunted Drive-In.
Yeah.
Around Halloween.
The Rhodium.
Which I was a part of. But that particular one was, I'm going to say it was 2011 or 2012. And there was a wrestling club out, not in Pomona, but it was out more on the 10, not as far as Ontario, but maybe Alhambra or somewhere. And it was by a really big, because you might know this thing, it was by some giant, like almost like a Pawn Stars kind of place, but there was some sort of pawn collectibles place. And behind there was Outdoor Wrestling League. And it was called ASC or something. I don't know what it was, but it was like a Southern. Do you know what it is?
I think, yeah, ASW, I think.
That's probably what it was, right.
Was it outside?
Yeah.
It's like City of Industry.
That's what it is. Beginning of history. That sounds right. Yeah. Yes. ASW. And
Yeah.
they put up 3 rings. They basically connected 3 rings to fit the 150 wrestlers in. And upon going in, like when we're backstage, when I say backstage, we're just on the other side of 2 curtains in a parking lot. But like, do you know Paul Ryan?
Yeah, I know the name Paul Ryan. I should know the face. I get hit in the head a lot.
Was it Dan Ryan?
Something Ryan. Hopefully not another Ryan, but yeah.
Wait, who was the other Ryan?
Well, I mean, I don't want to talk about. There is a Ryan that's been banished from all of wrestling forever, and his name isn't really worth being mentioned. More of a pariah, but
Not gonna mention him.
hey, yeah. But I know the guy who ran that show. I think it was Bart. He's a bit of a pirate.
Yeah, Bart.
And yeah, I think Luke Perry's kid actually started in that promotion, wrestling. So
yeah.
But you were, what number entrance were you?
I'm not sure. It might have been 125 or 75. I don't remember. I wasn't number 1, and I wasn't the last one. I think those 2 were the 2 that were probably. But here's what we did backstage. They decided on who the last 2 guys were going to be already, which were part of the league. You know what I mean? And it was a Lucha Libre guy and somebody else. And they had a lot of Lucha Libre wrestlers in that league. They were great. They were pros that were coming. They were literally Mexican, true Lucha Libre guys from Mexico that would come up and wrestle. You know what I mean? And go back to Tijuana and stuff. And like they were taking like license plates to the head, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So they said, get in. And once the ring starts, if you're not these dudes, get the fuck out, get thrown out. Because once it starts, the record's the record. And then we just need a finish. So the problem is getting 150 people in there. And it takes time. You know what I mean? Because they have to legally announce each one, like you're saying. And you had to sign with the Guinness guy as you're walking in. And it must have looked like Mel Brooks, like, you know, that one thing with working on the Chinese train workers, where it was the KKK guys, and the gangsters and the sombrero, whatever you call those bad guys when they shoot the Mexican banditos. Remember how they were all like getting money to work on the train thing? And that's what it was like. It was like we're all in these stupid outfits. And by the time we got in the ring, it was the center ring. We were all equally put, but the center ring collapsed underneath. And so the 4 posts and everything went, it all collapsed. Everyone fell in on top of each other. So now you have an orgy of wrestler bodies. You can't get out. There's literally dudes, and I was not part of this. I was in the other ring, but the funny thing that happened was when something like that happens, there's like this pain because there's guys literally suffocating, but they also can't breathe because they're laughing so much. Because it's like everyone falls, everyone's laughing at like this mess, but you're laughing and you can't do anything. You're laughing so hard. It's like, oh, I didn't get out, and I can't breathe. Can't breathe. The other guy's laughing. Go, this is so ridiculous. You're gonna die laughing. I know. We're dying at the bottom of a pit of wrestling. You know what I mean? And they still didn't. They said, stay there. Stay there. We got 3 more guys to get in. And then they got them in as like ring. And then they're like pulling people out of this thing.
Oh my God.
Because it still counted, but it was so funny to see everyone just collapse in. It didn't go the way they wanted, but it's still the record. And I would love to see the footage of that. I guarantee they shot it, and that's the reason I did the whole thing. Was part of my movie with this character Randy Van Stone. Was he was involved in the Palmdale Backyard Wrestling Association, and so I needed this footage. That wasn't the footage, but they said if you come and you bring 10 more wrestlers, we'll let you shoot before. You will let you shoot your fake Palmdale Backyard Wrestling League with our audience and your signs. And we have that footage. And then I also offered him our cameras. So I said, well, we're going to be doing a 7-camera shoot. It'll add on to your cameras. You know what I'm saying? And what was funny was he sent Bart our footage. I just wanted the footage from, he had cameras up on the roof, these guys up on the roof shooting down, which looks a lot more
Sure.
eye on the wrestling thing. And I don't know what happened. His email changed, or he was going through, you know, it's everything's always suspect on those leaks, but he never got me the footage. And I was kept bugging him for it. And so it is what it is.
How does it look in the film in terms of their stuff? I mean, you're not, it's
I
not.
have a rough, it's long. I will send it to you and Creech. The problem is it's not online. It's on a hard drive. So I have to then load it, Creech, privately to I'll load it onto
our YouTube.
Yeah, and I'll send it. It's actually funny, but keep in mind, it's in the documentary, 90 minutes long. It's not going to have a 10-minute
No.
It's not going to be 1/10 of my whole movie. So I need to get it down to like 30 seconds. You know what I mean? But it's funny. In our match, in our band, Van Stone, my bass player was named Blackie Sawyer. And he was our bass player in the band, but he was my arch nemesis in the backyard wrestling league. Right. And so in our stage show, it couldn't help but bubble up because I would always be like, I'm the fucking champion. Yeah. And I'd have the belt. And he goes, that's fucking bullshit. You know, you took that backstage from me. I go, hey, man, possession's 9/10 of the law. So the whole thing was, I'm not the champion he is, but I would always steal it, you know, on stage. And then when I'm not looking, then he would take these, we'd have the candy glass bottles, but he would finish his bottle and just smash me and just lay me out during a song. So the song would be ruined and then he's like, literally whatever, you know, a plastic, you know, one of those chairs, fluorescent light bulbs, whatever we wanted to throw around. It became a wrestling thing on stage. And then I was always calling bullshit, you know, like you blind, I'm going to see you in, you know, in the ring and stuff like that. So we needed footage of the actual ring stuff. And what's funny is they literally in that footage, they just beat the shit out of me. And the real wrestlers, him, the guy playing Blackie Sawyer in the ring, who was a real wrestler, and the other, his horde, he was Blackie Sawyer and the horde. And the horde guys were real wrestlers. I'm not a wrestler. My sidekick, my partner, was Hawk, my roadie, not a wrestler. So what we decided to do was they will do the moves and I will, because I've got to be beat up anyway. So instead of trying to do any back and forth, it was them throwing the punches, doing the kicks, bringing me up, doing the slams, you know, like doing like a crossbar and falling. So I was taking a beating, but this way it wasn't any kind of question of like, I had to sell something the other way. I only had to sell me getting hurt. Right. And so we show up and these real wrestlers like yourself take it very seriously and they want to make sure that they're selling it because they're thinking about selling it live. I couldn't get to them that I got 7 cameras. However I fall, I'm going to add in sounds. I'm going to make that thing sound so brutal, and I'm going to pick an angle that looks great. I don't know if I really need to learn how to hit the back and the hands at the same time for that metal thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
To really sell boom. But they were like emphatic. No, we're going to bring you up, and I'm going to bring you down, like, you know, and you have to sell it. And so I'm 52 now. I was probably 43 at the time when I shot this. I said 2012. So yeah, 43. So a 43-year-old guy, even then, most people are retired at 43 for doing this stuff with no real to show up a couple hours before with these guys running me through it 10 times. No, hit it again. Finally, I mean, I was hurt before we got going. I was hurt from the quick. We're going to give you the quick training. The quick training was killing me. And I was like, dude, we don't need to do this. I'm going to have a dislocated disc trying to learn how to hit the thing right when I can put that sound in post. No. You got to sell it to the audience. I go, I don't care about the goddamn audience because the thing was the people cheering. I go, we're going to shoot a real wrestling match. And that's when we turn the cameras on them cheering for some other fucking schmucks that are able to hit the fucking thing. I don't need some ravenous person actually going, I can't believe he's really hitting that sound. So eventually we let them give up on that. And then, you know, it came out great, but I'm going to send it to you. I think you'll love it.
Please do. No, and I'm glad. Like honestly, I think a lot of it was just they didn't want you to get hurt because there is a way. Yeah, I mean, not to defend. I can see how that would get annoying, especially when it's these guys that are know-it-alls or whatever. But I think honestly, in 30 minutes, you and I could streamline and efficiently show you how to do what needed to be done or what needs to be done in a safe way that you can take with you for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
And that way you can, I mean, there is stunts involved, obviously, in how it works, but, a lot of it is really just learning how to fall. And a lot of that's based in kind of the martial arts fall as well. I was curious with you, Dave, what your athletic background is, because you're like, you're not like a pussy actor. I mean, you have muscle and you have tone and like you
Yeah, that's what I do.
dude, I mean, you guys, yeah. So like you have an athletic background, I would imagine. Like,
You asked about my my athletic stuff. I played a lot of baseball, but I never got into high school baseball. Once I was 14, I stopped. I shifted into wrestling, so I did wrestle through high school, and I was state champion.
Takes one to know one, man. I could tell. I was like, this guy's like, come on. That's why I know that you would actually be able to. I mean,
Yeah.
if you ever wanted to dabble in wrestling in like a David Arquette kind of way,
Yeah,
I got you.
Well, do you know what was the movie that he did? And it was between me and him. There was one with it was what was that character?
Ready to Rumble.
Huh?
Ready to Rumble.
Ready to Rumble. But who was the actor playing like the Diamond Dallas Page kind of character? The king.
Oh, Oliver Platt.
That's right. And it was him. And then was it him and
Scott Conn.
Yeah. I don't know which role I didn't get, but I was up for one of those roles. It would have been funny. Would have been funny if I replaced David Arquette.
Yeah.
Because of Harry. Or what if it was David Arquette and myself? And here's what's funny: was David Arquette really into wrestling on Ready to Rumble, or did he discover his wrestling stuff?
I mean, he won the world title not long after that movie came out.
Yeah, it was. He was a benefit. He was with WCW, which was run by Ted Turner, and they were, I think, throwing anything they could at the wall to see what stuck, because they were this was really kind of towards, I guess, more the tail end of the ratings wars with Vince, but they were grasping at straws. And I mean, they literally put the world title on David Arquette, and he wasn't really. It was like an accidental win where he clumsily pins him, or like, oh.
Right.
But it has left such a stench just on that era. But to David, to his credit, I mean, the stuff that he does now, I think all his bookings, like a portion or all of it, goes to charity. And like, he's nearly killed himself by accident in a match, very stupidly, that I would have never been a part of, with light tubes and stupid shit like that. But the guy's really, I mean, he's taking his licks and he's giving them out. So, but he's kind of reverse paying his dues.
You'll see in that Blackie Sawyer match, these were 12-foot light tubes, and I'm already being taken out on a stretcher, and I'm about to be loaded into the ambulance, and the Horde come with these light tubes, and I'm already I'm strapped in with a neck brace, and they're just light tubing me, and across my face, so there's all little cuts, but it's not the glass shatters really fine, and it's on your face. It's all in my eye sockets, and there's white powder. So I really had to keep my eyes closed until they were done. I couldn't open them. They had to literally because normally you'll get a glass thing here and there, but I'm literally lying on the ground and they're smashing these tubes on my face and it's settling in my eyes. And they were like, dude, don't move. Don't move. We have to get literally a brush, a blower, a brush. Like, you've got literally the finest jars right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
what the fuck? Wait, real light tubes, man, or were they gimmicked? Like,
no,
real light tubes?
They were the biggest, longest ones they could find.
What? The fucking neon and shit that's in there?
No, they weren't neon. They were fluorescent. Those big fluorescent ones.
Okay, I was like, I'm gonna shake you through the
You'll
phone.
see it. You'll see it. You'll see it.
How? But like, did you feel that kind of like a cactus a few days later? Or like, was it?
Oh
Did any
yeah,
of that get? Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Little tiny, little scrapey cuts. Yeah, yeah.
Christ, man, you've done more hardcore shit than I have.
Dude, I don't know if you can tell. My face is a little swollen. Can you see my face is swollen right here? It's coming down. I've got my son pitched baseball, and we pay for a coach. So, but the problem is this: if you don't practice during the week, when I pay $100 per lesson, to teach its curveball and stuff like that, then he's been like, well, that was a waste because you didn't go and practice. So me, I'm just Dave. We're running around. I'm late for this. I'm late for that. I'm late for that. And it's like, oh my God, we got to practice. But it's kind of, we're in a heat wave. We're in a heat wave right now. So I'm like, I'm not going to make my son go out and pitch in 104-degree weather. I mean, he's only 12 years old. So
Yeah.
we got plenty of time to pitch. The baseball's over for the season. So we went out at 7:58 to the field, and I have to go to his field where there's a mound at a certain distance. There's only so many fields. I can't go to a softball field that is flat. You gotta, at this point where he's at learning his pitching, he's got to be exact because he's trying to learn exact. But I didn't bring any. I don't have a catcher's this. I do have like knee pads because I don't want to get dinged and stuff. But it got dark. It got like pitch black dark, and he's got better eyes than me. I've got 52-year-old eyes where dark is now I can't see shit. You know what I mean? So now I'm just holding the glove this way, and I'm standing where a batter would stand, but I can't see the ball, and it's just like boom. This thing.
Oh my God.
I saw it for like a split second of like, oh shit. You know what I mean? I go, I'm gonna lose a tooth. It's swelled up.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
Oh my God.
days ago, and I'm just trying to the swelling down.
You can't tell, man. It's not so much here or here, but it's more here. You look great, honestly, man.
It's almost down, but it was big. It was bigger before. That's what she said. Hello. I did.
Nice. We haven't done one of those in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
I would love to see your wrestling exploits.
Yeah, I am interested in this. So when will you be opening up the situation?
Right now, hopefully I'll know something in the next week or two. I'll be putting it out on my Instagram. My Twitter handle is the same. It's at London Fu, LONDONFU, like Kung Fu. And I took a break from social media, Instagram for a while. Just, you do that. You want to get away from all the nonsense. And then you set a new game plan and you want to kind of put something out. And so it's really, to me, it's just promotional stuff. Really, it's not a matter of like, do you guys think I should wear this and all that kind of bullshit.
Here's what I ate today.
I mean, come on, man. Who gives a flying fuck about any of you? And so that's something that I'm feeling real selfish, like I've got 20 plus years of all this experience, and I love teaching. I love teaching. Teaching was something I was going to do when I was in college. I was learning to be a special education teacher, actually. And then, just wrestling really just kind of took off. It wasn't like I had dreams of being a teacher, but I thought, well, this could be something, eventually or whatever, just because I like helping people. But in terms of,
by the way,
go ahead.
Wrestling, that's a natural fit. They really are. It
really is. I mean, it's such a simple delivery that now the wrestling that I see on TV is so. They're trying to make like Shyamalan stories in a wrestling ring. It's like, that's not the place for that. Like that's so beyond people's heads. And they're not even good stories. Like they're just really bad stories. So there's a lot of just misinformation that I want to just really kind of train people the right way and actually teach them how to wrestle. Like, because that's really what's on the marquee, no matter what country you're in, is wrestling. Now, the professional part, that you try to hope to teach along the way, but the wrestling part, that's really what's at the core of it. And if you have that, all the pre-planned bullshit and all the stuff that you thought would be cool and all this, if all that goes out the window, the people will still get their money's worth if you know how to wrestle, So
yeah.
we'll see what happens. I'd love to have you there. I'd love to have both of you there, actually, if you make the trek out from Charleston. Get off that pillared house of yours. But
Yeah,
I think you would
make a nice
be
little trip.
money, man. Dave would be money. Money.
I think. Do you know, Creech? What's your weight right now? You actually lost weight recently.
Yeah, I'm sitting like at about 4.
Okay. But still, man. Fuck, dude. We'll make you the new Bam Bam Bigelow.
He is.
I can't actually do a moonsault.
He's kind of like a King Kong Bundy. You know what I mean? But he doesn't.
Yeah.
Just more like the pancake.
It would be awesome. Well, that's part of the problem. There's not enough big guys anymore in wrestling. It's all like kids that work at Hot Topic. You know, it's like, who the fuck couldn't beat this guy up?
The thing I liked about the 80s wrestling, the late 70s going into the high point of the 80s, was there was an array of different types. You know what I mean? You had like an Ivan Putski or a Bob Backlund, which were
trained me. He trained me. Right. Ivan Putski was my trainer.
You know, and they were like traditional wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? And then you also had, like the Sergeant Slaughters and the Iron Sheik and like the characters of the time. You know, like almost like walking cartoon characters. You know, that was my first
Slaughter.
Well, here's the thing. My first big, like, ever meeting wrestlers was I worked at a gas station in 1985. I was a gas attendant on I-95 in Delaware, and there must have been a corridor tour. This is where they pulled over to get gas, coming from Philly to either Baltimore, or they were going from Philly to DC. These wrestlers, and it was Sergeant Slaughter and the Iron Sheik, and in the Russian. No, it was Sergeant Slaughter and the Russian guy. Who
was it Nikolai Volkov?
Nikolai Volkov.
And they were driving together. They were like the arch enemies. You know what I'm talking about? They were like, but they're driving together. And they were doing drugs. They did drugs. Like I could tell they were like, and I think one guy was smoking a cigarette or something. It was like right out of like, that Mickey Rourke wrestler movie. The wrestler, I was like, oh my God, look who it is. And I was like, wait, they can't. Why are they together? Why are they driving a Cadillac? You know what I mean? Like it was like a crappy car. It was a Cadillac, but it was a crappy Cadillac. And I was like super disappointed. Like, what do you mean these guys should sound like private fighters? It's Sergeant Slaughter. It's fucking the Russian guy. They're arch enemies, but they're together here getting gallon of gas and peanut M&Ms. What the fuck's going on?
Oh, it dashed the illusion for you, man. They broke kayfabe. Shame on them.
A little bit. Not that
Shame
I
on them.
That illusion. What I find fascinating about wrestling, and I think it was that Barry Blaustein documentary, the Hart Foundation one.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was Beyond the Mat, and then there was Wrestling with Shadows, the Bret Hart one.
That one, really covered his father and the lineage of wrestling and the catch can, that kind of stuff, and how there's certain wrestling families that come down through some real wrestling of, I can break your leg. I can fucking snap your nose. I know how to break your fucking fingers, that kind of shit. You know what I'm talking about? And how there is, in that wrestling period, there was such high stakes to be a name wrestler because there's money involved. So there is competition in wrestling, even though the wrestling part is written, the end result is written. There is a pecking order of, I want to be champion. I could stab you in the back, do this with you. I could say this about you. There's a corporate part of the wrestling. Does that make sense? Of a competition? So
yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely more. You're talking like the territory era, and so it was because I like to think that corporate is Vince, and I feel that corporate is kind of what killed the territory era. But the territory business, that's when it was really mom and pop. Like the Von Erichs owned, like the Dallas, region, the Northern Texan region, and you had the obviously like hell, like Creech is in the hotbed of a lot of that, Southern wrestling just in itself. Like you probably saw like from the Flairs and the Andersons and just the Four Horsemen and all that. But like, you're right. They were touring rock stars, and a lot of these guys were doing these matches, sometimes 3 matches a day. They would take these little planes and fly and do like the morning match, the afternoon, the evening. I mean, it's fucking insane. And the rings were just much shittier, but they were making a killing, and they had to keep that illusion back then because the people still believed it. You know, one of my trainers that I was so fortunate to have as a trainer was Terry Funk. I met him through his brother, Dory Funk Jr., but Terry really opened the doors up for me a lot by vouching for me during interviews and whatnot. So he's kind of responsible for me getting into this company that was Ring of Honor before it was really big. I mean, it was just starting at the time, but that kind of helped put me on the map. So Terry would tell me about matches. Like he once told me he had a match with a jaguar. Like he showed up to a carnival show or something, and he didn't know who he was wrestling, and that they put him in a chicken wired ring, and he was like, "What the hell's going on here?" You know, and they just put a jaguar, and he's like, "Oh, god damn it!" And like he's like, "I made it out of there," you know. Like, what the fuck? But he told me about a time in Corpus Christi when he had so much heat, the crowd just wanted to murder him, literally. That he got security, you know, he got back to the car, the getaway car, basically in those days, because you couldn't hang around very long or they would find you. And he got into the back of the car, and they're heading back to the hotel, and he can't get comfortable, and he's like trying to sit, and he can't get comfortable, and one of the handlers or managers or whatever was like, "Holy shit, you have a knife in your back!" Like someone had stuck him on his way from the ring to the car with a dagger, and it was stuck in his back. You know what I mean? So those were just different times, and sadly, I don't think we'll ever see again, because I want to see people get stabbed. But you know, they really bought it. They really bought it, and that's that full commitment. That's one of the things, honestly, not to sound kissy, whatever, but I love actors that are beyond committed. I love, like Creech and I were talking about this, the chameleons, you know, and so that's one of the things that makes me such a fan of yours, Dave, is just your commitment. Like even just seeing your doofy stuff at the conventions, I mean, you're just all just fully committed, and that's what's missing from the wrestling business today. Is that they would rather pull the curtain back immediately after the big blow off match and get on Twitter and say thank you and like, hey, we're okay. Like even recently there was a pay-per-view or a big event where Chris Jericho fell off of a cage onto what was supposed to be a metal stage, but it was like the cardboard, the metal like plastic floor tiles over a mattress, and all the tiles came up and you could see the mattress, and it was just a huge embarrassment. Right, it was a huge embarrassment, but everyone's pulling the curtain back. Even Jericho's admitting to pre-taping all his matches so that they can get the moves right. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? This is horseshit.
Right.
You know, like this is absolute horseshit. You would never admit to this shit. Houdini's like, oh well, you know, I had to try this a few times. I fucked it up. This is the way that I try it normally. But it didn't work, so I went a different route, and like this is how it actually worked. And like you would never fucking do that. Like never. Right. You know, and like I was taught as an actor, like never ask another actor what their process is. That's to me bad etiquette. You know, like I think you can ask, like maybe dance around it, but even that makes me uncomfortable. As much as I want to ask people that I've worked with or whatever, like I worked with Patrick Kilpatrick a year ago, and he's like the bad guy in so many films that I grew up watching, you know, but he was cool where he humored me when I asked, you know, like production questions, but I wasn't going to ask him like, okay, so like when you were the Sandman and you were fighting Jean-Claude, like what, like I'm not going to fucking ask, like come on, you know, like I have too much respect for you. But these guys just give all the shit away. They just give it away willingly because they'd rather be liked on social media. Like, go fuck yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
I do like when I do panels about Scary Movie or about The Devil's Rejects, which are 2 movies I generally, because of the horror conventions, is mostly what I do. So I'm doing panels on them, and I get all these questions about in that scene or in this and that, and I'm like, when I fucking shot that thing, first of all, when you're doofy, you're going, it's like you think I'm thinking about like, oh, and I turned to Kurt Fuller and I was thinking this, and and by the way, it's like when I made that movie, I'm like young and I'm partying. I'm not thinking like, I better remember this a lot better because in 20 years, I'm gonna have to tell a lot of people the exact details. I gotta go home tonight and make sure I clear off
Make
my
a diary.
And make sure that I write in my journal exactly what happened in that scene tonight, because someday because it was my first film. So I was like thinking, just shoot the goddamn thing, take the paycheck, go drink and party, have a good time. And maybe I'll go back and working, at the burger joint after this, because I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. Little did I know they're asking me all these detailed questions. So now I realize, instead of going like, honestly, I don't remember. I was stoned at the time. Now I just make stuff up. I just make it up. Every different thing I'm just saying yes, and then this happened. Kurt did that, and I remember there was a problem with the camera, and then Keenan got walked off, or they talk about Rob Zombie work with. Well, Rob, a lot of people don't know he wears short shorts and he doesn't like to wear underwear. So I'm looking over and he's watching the monitor, but his balls are hanging out, and they're that kind of like balls. More human though. They are more human than human, the balls, but he manscapes them very well. But he has Captain Spaulding tattooed on his left testicle, so I couldn't. And that was throwing my scene. So
eating it up. They're sitting there believing everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta look at that Spaulding tattoo.
I do try to answer crazier and crazier because I'm hoping when I run into Rob someday, that he might go, "Did you say this?" And I gotta go, "Yeah, I did." That means they're listening, Rob. That means we've got them on the. So far, no one's ever come up, which means the people in the audience are probably like, "What's he saying?" They're just probably like, his lips are moving. I think he said something about Rob's balls. I don't remember, but anyway, yeah.
But you don't wink. You don't wink as Doofy. Like when you're doing Doofy, you don't wink. Even at the convention, you're not winking. You're not. You don't go right to. You don't go into Dave voice and then like that. You know what I mean? Like you're fully on.
Exactly.
And fuck, like how can you not? How can you not applaud that? Because that's, there's a fucking eye and commitment, and that's what I feel a lot of people lack. I don't know. Who am I to say? I couldn't even get the goddamn mic to work.
The Ranger Bob was in this movie Camp Twilight.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not that great of a movie. My character's good. But then there's the Cold-Blooded Killers and Hank, and then say something like Doofy or my character in Sex Drive or Ghost World. Ghost World's a good one with Doug. Those characters, they are, I wouldn't call them broad, but they're further away from me. The further away the character gets from Dave, probably the more I have to commit to it, because you want to be authentic in that spectrum of the rainbow that you're in, So I have no choice but to commit, because otherwise, if you're going back and forth, I'll have trouble getting it as tight. So once I dial in the character, I just like to stay in that character during the day, because it's hard to be down Dave. Not, you know what I mean? So the further I get towards those type of doofy characters, the more I actually become more committed, only out of it's actually less work for me, because once I get into it, then I can just stay there. So, yeah.
What was when we first met, I remember I was marking out about Beyond White Space, which I thought was a great chameleon change for you. But I thought you mentioned something about having annoyed Steve Buscemi on Ghost World because you were so committed. Like he legit thought that was like, this is real. Who is this guy? What the fuck?
We can mute Dave so he can have his privacy.
How are you doing so far? Is everything cool? Good.
Yeah.
I need you to be more challenged consistently.
Exactly. Got to keep me on my toes.
I'm telling you, man. I worked with these guys in North Carolina. They were on high spots. If I could ever get back out there, there's got to be a ring in Charleston I could train you at.
Oh well, yeah. I shoot for a local wrestling company.
That's
so
what you were telling me.
Yeah. So
I'm pouring out
I
my
have a ring.
services.
Right.
See? I'm doing a seminar this Saturday, actually, down by the beach, San Diego. Are you all right, my man? I feel guilty. I feel horrible.
Where in San Diego on Saturday? My daughter's actually at the Rady Hospital in San Diego, so I'm down there every night.
I'm doing a show on the beach.
What is it?
It's a free show.
What is it?
It is. I'm worried if I X out of here, it might lose me. I'm replacing a newly retired 28-year-old. Yeah, beach show. Should be good. I'll get a tan.
So what do you mean by beach though? Like an actual?
It's a seminar between, I think, 1 and 3 or 1 and 4, and then the show I think is from 6 to 7 or 6 to 8. I think it's 6 to 7. I mean, it's only 5 matches, but the ring is on the beach, and someone's gonna get sand in their eyes.
Oh, it's like that old the old bully. There's those old like back of the cartoon things where it's like the little weak guy gets the sand in the eye, and then it's like now you actually have it. Here it's happening. It's happening in real life. Full circle.
You'll be this guy.
So it's free. The whole thing is free because it's in public. But
Yes.
Tell me about the seminar that you were going to do before the match.
The seminar is not free. I have the info on that as well, but that one's, you know, I push it to 3 hours because I like to get as many guys and gals as I can in there. But yeah, just a little crash course on. It starts off with a bit of a diagnostic where you just kind of want to make sure that no one's going to be too much of a liability, and if for some reason they are, then you kind of pull them aside and work with them on whatever you think might help put them along. But it's mostly just experienced wrestlers in the area, and they will hopefully ask a bunch of questions, and we'll see what we can do to help them. It's funny though, when you do these seminars before the shows, whatever examples you give in terms of like a spot or a promo idea or a character idea or something, you see it several times over on the on the show right after, because it's so fresh in their heads that you see it like almost in every match, like the same spot. I'm like, well, I was just using it as an example. Like, you could have improvised a little bit.
Okay, so you're saying the seminar, the people in the matches are going to use they're the ones in the seminar with you.
It is that way because like you don't have a lot of time or whatever, but since it's not far, I mean, I can just drive down there, so it's the same day, but I'll just run it before, and that way you're kind of already warmed up. Not that you need it in the weather we're having, but it's yeah, it's like a tune-up.